Hey friends, today we're going to walk through a little guided drawing exercise in the hope that we can kind of get some expressive energy going around the topic of, what it means to be a human being who has now survived, 2 years of a global pandemic on an unprecedented scale. Every era of people are unique and we are too. And what we've gone through together for the past 2 years is something that is worth taking a moment to remark on. It's going to be reflected back at us in the art of our time and our culture globally, culturally forever. I think that's worth taking at least a few minutes of class time to get some creative get creative about, spend some time with ourselves about. Now, because I am psychic, I just heard at least one of you on the other side of a computer screen go, "Oh my god, drawing exercise. I suck at drawing. I can never do this." And never fear, this is not a costume design and rendering class. Developing drawing skills is not one of the requirements of this course. So take a moment, shake off those nerves, tell yourself it's okay if the drawing sucks. In this case, it's the ideas that matter, and that we capture them as best we can at this point in our journey. If you can't draw, write it, do a doodle, let your mind wander and catch up whenever it needs to. There's no wrong answers, you can't do this badly. The point is to take the trip, and we start to attach meaning to images of the body, of ourselves, of how we express through the body or show the body or hide the body. That's all costuming really is. Attaching articulation and meaning to the way that we see ourselves, dress ourselves, envision ourselves, the way that we share ourselves with each other. So you're going to need a piece of paper and a pencil. You might want colored pencils or markers or something. You could do a sketch app on your phone or your tablet, but you want to be able to sketch and draw expressively and kind of freely. And again, no self-correction. Don't overthink it. And lastly, care for yourself. Content warning. Be aware of your mental and emotional health. Step away. Come back as you need to. We're talking about pandemics. This video isn't going anywhere. You've got time. I want you to take yourself back to the beginning of the pandemic. It's probably around March of the year 2020. You might remember certain details of exactly where you were when you first heard that schools were closing and businesses were closing. For example, I remember to this day exactly where I was on 9/11 when the planes hit. That was more than 20 years ago. And I can tell you the color of the carpet in the room that I was in, and I was a child. Some things just stick in your memory. Let those things kind of latch on. Let them happen. I want you to take yourselves back to the beginning of the pandemic, back to the beginning. It's probably around March of the year 2020. You might remember certain details of exactly where you were when you first heard that schools were closing. For example, I remember that I was sitting in my bedroom and I was petting my ferret, and one of my students had said schools are closing, and I was like, that sounds like you're overreacting. I didn't say that out loud, but I said it in my head. And then I checked my email, and sure as heck, schools were closing, and everything was different. Do you feel nervous at this time? Who are you at this time? Take a moment with yourself at this exact spot. You might remember who you were with. You might remember smaller details, a smell, what were you wearing, a certain look on your friends' or your parents' faces, the font of the email or the news story that was how you found out. Take that moment. Think about the textures around you. Are you at home on the sofa? Are you at school sitting on one of those hard little desks with the plastic chairs attached? Who are you at this time? Do you feel nervous? Do you feel like this is normal? Do you feel unconcerned? It'll pass quickly, nothing's really going to change. Can't imagine anything's going to change. Maybe you're even excited to have some extra time off of school, or maybe you're upset that you have to cancel certain social plans. Spend some time with that who you were before it hit. If you could tell that version of you one thing, what would it be? Write that down. Among other things, I would tell myself, Go buy toilet paper before it's gone. There will be no toilet paper in the state of Virginia for like a month. Save yourself. Do it now. Now think of yourself in the pandemic, and I mean in the pandemic. When I say in the pandemic, an image or an idea has just popped into your mind automatically. Follow that impulse, that knee-jerk impulse. Is it early in the pandemic? That sense of yourself, is it late? What's on pause? What are you waiting for? What do you have that you expected to have, or not have that you expected to have right now? Where are you versus where you expected to be? Are you part of your life? Do you feel separate from your life? Start visualizing pandemic you. It could be literal, it could be expressive. The first thing that pops into my mind is this like ratty pair of plaid pajama pants that I wore through like the whole month of April that first year, because in Zoomland pants don't matter anymore, but in like regular world pants matter, and so I had to adjust to pants not mattering so much, and for some reason that was like a trip for me. Like, pants don't matter, guys. And somehow not caring about pants was awesome at first, and then eventually it just like wasn't anymore, and I really wished I had a reason to care about what pants I wore. What clothing do you associate with the pandemic? Did you change a lot? Did you wear the same thing? Was it normal? Was it different from normal? Textures, patterns, smells. How often are you doing laundry? All right, and start sketching a body. It can be literal. It can be cartoonish. Don't worry about your proportions too much. What does a body really need? It needs a head. Needs a torso of some kind. Torso can just be a box. It needs a hip area. Some kind of legs and feet. Some kind of legs and feet. Arms. What are your arms doing? Arms, hands. Doesn't have to be any kind of perfect body. Mostly because there's no such thing, alright? Don't think too hard. Let your hands do the work. Keep going over your lines. Don't try to plan it out more than you can. What colors are you during the pandemic? Are you bright? Are you more gray? Are you neutral? Are you jewel toned? Are you neon? Are you dark? Are you one color? A lot of colors? Are you shades of beige? A study in shades of depressing beige? What colors do you look for? What colors do you strive for or aspire towards? Do you wish you had brighter colors in your life? Do you wish that you had more peaceful colors and feelings in your life? What do you wish for? What do you move towards if you can move? How fast are you moving? Are you standing still? Are you flying? Is your hair perfect? Or is it messy? We're not being too fussy. We're not being too perfect. Do you shower more often or less often than you used to? How often do you shower? When was the last time you did your laundry? Who do you want to be? Are you the person you want to be in this pandemic moment? And maybe if time is moving quickly for pandemic you, maybe there's some chaos to your strokes, your drawing strokes. Maybe it's a chaotic, busy kind of print that you're wearing. Happens to the best of us. Maybe it's overwhelming. Maybe it's too much. Maybe it's a loud, frenzied, busy kind of print on a garment, or color blocking that's like asymmetrical somehow. What kind of shapes and feelings do you have in your life at this point in time? Are they good feelings? Do they match? Are you letting them out? Are you holding them in? Or maybe you're feeling depressive. Maybe pandemic you is just, gray sweatpants and a gray hoodie, and that's it. That's a mood. That's a costume design all by itself. Maybe you don't know who Pandemic You is. Maybe Pandemic You is confusion. Does Pandemic You feel whole? Does Pandemic You feel real, solid? Do you feel like you? You know, maybe you even dress up every day to compensate for the fact that you have nowhere specific to go. Maybe that's the way that you feel like connecting with your old self. Who does Pandemic You want to be, or want to see, or want to wear? Is that who they are and see and wear, or just something they're looking for? Do you feel open to the rest of the world? Do you feel divided from the rest of the world? Are you wearing tight clothes? Are you wearing loose clothes? Are they comfortable? Keep sketching shapes. They don't have to make sense. Sketching shapes, sketching feelings. Maybe the world doesn't feel balanced right now. Is everything the same size? Does everything feel like it's supposed to? I keep thinking about how at this point I had gained a lot of weird like body fat, not weight, but like fat versus muscle, because I wasn't wrestling or sparring or rowing anymore. So there was nowhere to go. So like none of my shirts fit right. And I had this little like belly thing that I'd never had before. All of my shirts were riding up in this really specific way. And how weird that made me feel, because usually I weighed the same, but usually all of that is like more muscle. And I remember how weird that made me feel to have my body changing in that way, because all of the things that I usually did to keep physical just didn't exist anymore. And I keep thinking about how my shoulders just felt like downward, like all of me felt downward. I had this like slouch to me going on. This feeling of loose clothes. I think about my shoulders sort of slouching from like the Zoom meetings all the time. My shoulders just had this like nest to them, and I'm just feeling that kind of shape, but also I felt all of this weight on me. I knew that I was not able to give my students everything that I wanted to, and I felt really responsible for that, and I was wearing myself out trying to give, personal meetings all the time with everyone, all day, every day, and one-on-ones all the time to try to make up for all of the things that my students weren't giving. And a little drawstring. And then like cap sleeves that are just a little bit too tight. Oh yeah, we love Pandemic Me. She's great. I love her. I start to slouch. I start to draw myself with this feeling of just this like downward momentum. Like even my hair is like looping downwards, and I'm forgetting to cut it as often as I normally would. I'm not shaving my sides. Am I wearing my glasses? Probably. I never wear my glasses, but I probably was wearing them now. Didn't have anywhere else to be. Think about who you were and what you wanted. Think about the shapes and how they could become clothing, but you don't have to make them literal clothing like I did. I have this weird urge to like not draw in my arms at all. Like something about there's an incapacitated feeling of like pieces of me aren't there or are partial that normally are there. Or like maybe it's not my arms, maybe it's my, like some piece of me isn't here that should be. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's gaps or tears. Think about the shapes of you. Think about the colors. Think about how it feels to be on Zoom. Who can see your face? Do you care who can see your face? I know, I wore my makeup. I don't even wear makeup the rest of the time. But I sure as heck wore my makeup then, because the only part of me that people could see. Are you anxious? Are you angry? Are you busy? Are you stagnant? How fast is time moving? What are you waiting for or moving towards? What do you wish you had? Is all of you there? What do you have? What's missing? And remember, this can be something literal. It can be more like an interpretive dream ballet. It can be physical. You can draw yourself as an octopus. I mean, why not, honestly? Are you whole? Are you a whole person like you're used to being? Are you fragmented? Are you certain? Are you confused? I don't know what I'm drawing. I'm just drawing it. What direction are you going in? Are you looking upwards? Do you spend a lot of time looking at the sky or a lot of time looking down? Where's the ground? Who are you in this moment? What do you need in this moment? If you think about your anger or your anxiety, where does it hit you on the body? Where does it cut through you? What is there to help you? What tools do you have? What weapons do you have that you might need? What are you getting from other people and what are you lacking? I started to get this image in my head of like a door that's just been sitting here closed. Can't go through it. There's nowhere to go on the other side. Just standing there behind me, being a jerk. Where are you in this moment? What's public? What's private? Do you have privacy? Do you want privacy? Do you want socialization? What are you missing? Okay. Spend as much time with pandemic you as you need to. Keep thinking colors and shapes and smells. Keep going back to basic questions. Where were you? Who are you? What do you remember? And then when you're ready, we'll go ahead and move on to the next piece. All right, take a moment to land in your body now. Feel your fingers, feel your toes, count your toes. Deep breath into your chest. Come on, deep breath. Who are you today? Are you brighter? Are you colorful? Are you gray? Are you neon? Are you fast? Are you slow? Do you dance? Do you sing? Are you wearing an outfit that you picked on purpose, or was it just the cleanest thing you happened to find around? How do your shoulders feel? How's your back? What was the last thing you typed? What was the last thing you ate? Do your clothes fit? Are they new? Are they old? Do they suit you? Are you happy with them? What are the textures in your life? Start to draw yourself today. What are the textures, the colors, the smells? Is your pandemic self still with you? Can you feel them there with you? Or are they completely gone? Is there anything you want to say to them? Can you feel them with you? Do you cover them up? Do you wish them away? Do you strive to send them away? Do you try to camouflage them? Can you feel them hovering there? Are you different? Are you the same? Maybe you're still secretly your pandemic self, but you work really hard to cover it up. Maybe you don't know who or what you are right now. Maybe your now garments are chaotic and disorganized and confused because we all have to adapt to this brave new world of just getting back to it, getting back to the normal world. What does that mean? Maybe your now garments are very, very orderly and very perfect because that's how you cope. Maybe you dress the same style every day because it's easier than trying to figure out something new every day. How often do you shower now? Are your socks clean? Do your shoes fit? Do you feel sure about the answers to these questions, or are you just kind of like hoping? And back to color. Is there life in the colors of you right now? What are the shapes and feelings of you? What do you wear every day? Like literally, what do you wear? Do you like stripes? Do you like polka dots? Dark colors, bright colors, punk, goth, cottagecore? Do you wish you were secretly just dressed like a raccoon? I know I do. What are you made of? What are the shapes of you right now? Are you angry? Are you happy? Optimistic? Scared? Do you feel as if you have freedom? Do you wish for something? If you could wish for one thing, what would it be? Do you feel like you're yourself? Do you feel like someone else? Or do you feel like you're trying to be a thing? Do you feel like you can touch that other person? Sometimes I think I can. What are the habits that you formed to deal with these past 2 years? I know as soon as we started being able to do things in person again, I started to buy like the most colorful things ever. And I've always kind of done that. I really like bright colors, but like even more so, like I've been like neon, 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 because I felt so like devoid for so much of the pandemic. I just had this urge to like color it up. I don't care where it goes. Color it up. Okay. I've got some base shapes here. I don't know what they mean. Put the shapes in, put the feelings in, and don't think too hard about it. And then I'm going to start thinking, who is this fantastical creature? I don't know what this means. Now that I have a body in here, I feel it clearly. She's got some kind of fantastical hat. I don't know what that means, but we're going with it. Maybe she's like a magician who goes to the Derby. Like, what is this shape? Don't know. Waist tutu? Could be. I don't fucking know. Let the shapes guide you. I have still these same diagonals, which is interesting. I don't know why that is. But I don't have as much of that downward. That's interesting too. I'm also getting green paint on my marker, which is tragic. Tell me about the shapes of you. Tell me about the meaning. Is there meaning? Does there have to be? Do you want there to be? Are you sure what you want? Or are you just kind of stumbling along and hoping? What do we know? What do you feel like you know about yourself? I notice the change in posture. It's very distinct. I notice that I put more color over here, and the shapes are like wilder and less literal. I think I'm feeling a lot less organized and a lot less literal lately. I noticed that I didn't draw my glasses, but I kind of want to now. But like the biggest glasses possible, like giant cat eye glasses. What are you doing to recover? What makes you feel better? What makes you feel worse? Do you think about it a lot? Do you try not to? Do you spend a lot of time trying not to think about who you were, who you are, who you used to be? What are some things that keep you focused, keep you going, keep you sane? Clearly this is some kind of like mad Slytherin scarf of some kind, because who doesn't need that in our lives? I don't know what this means. What do these shapes tell you? Do you see something I don't? Because I sure as heck don't know what this means. But I do notice that I've exceeded my frame. I've gotten bigger. That should mean something, right? Somebody give me a psych lesson. What does that mean? My hair is apparently going straight up now. Who do you want to be? Are you the person today that you want to be? Would your pandemic self be proud of you? Do you want your pandemic self to be proud of you? Do you care what that person thinks? Do you wish you could talk to them? Do you wish they could talk to you? Looks like I have elf ears, but those are supposed to be my cat eye glasses. What do you have that you need? When was the last time you wore jeans? Do you wear trousers? Do you wear pajama pants still? Is it just the age of pajama pants and there's nothing we can do to fix that? Do you feel strong? Do you feel powerful? Do you feel angry? Do you feel different than you did during the pandemic, or is it pretty much the same stick, different time, same thing? What do you wish you had? What are the textures around you? What are the smells? Are you new? Are you the same as you've always been? Are you happy? Are you angry, optimistic, scared? Are you triangles? Are you squares? Are you circles? Are you all of the above? Apparently I'm all of the above. Fascinating. Imagine these two people that you've drawn here. Spend as much time with them as you want to. And imagine they exist in the same space for a while. What would they say to each other? If they could talk, if they could bridge this gap between them, what would they say? What would they want you to know? Do they love each other? Do they hate each other? Do they have messages for each other, or do they want to forget each one that the other even exists? What would you say to her, or them, or him, about surviving? What could they tell you about patience, or endurance, getting through it, finding a way? Have you become who you wished you were when you were them? Do you still have work to do? What would you say if you could say one thing? Okay. And if they can talk to each other, then think about who else we could talk to. Take a moment and imagine yourself tomorrow. You in the future. You don't have to draw it. Just follow that first gut instinct. Who are you going to be tomorrow? Future you. Who is that? Could be literally tomorrow. Could be 10 years. Could be 20. What do you want her or him or them to know? To remember about you now? Do you want them to be proud of you? Do you want them to have achieved something? Do you want them to look back at you with compassion or forgiveness? What can these boys tell future you? Send yourself a message. Remind yourself who you are.